Your hormones influence everything: your mood, your patience, your energy, and your relationships. But most women are never taught how to understand them. I'm joined by Rebecca Labaki to unpack the hidden connection between hormones, stress, and emotional regulation. We'll talk about how to recognize imbalances, what really causes them, and how hormonal awareness can completely shift the way you love, communicate, and connect. Welcome to the podcast, Rebecca.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that we could finally make this work. Rebecca's come all the way from Lebanon on holiday, and I managed to catch her to come in and talk about this subject with us. And before we start getting into hormones and how we figure out what's going on with them, I kind of want to understand a little bit more about your personal story. I know that you're not just teaching from your education, but your own personal experience. So what's been your journey with your hormones like? How did you start to understand that something was going on underneath the surface, and how did you see it playing out in your relationships?
Obviously, I was a nutrition student at the beginning, and I didn't apply any of the nutrition tips, funnily. I was studying it. I knew it on pen and paper. I knew the theory, but I wasn't actually applying it. And I knew because my skin was breaking out. My migraines were awful. I had to take painkillers 3 times a day to just get through my final year of university. My lower back pain was awful before my period, which we shouldn't normalize. And so I felt like I knew the theory, but I wasn't actually applying it, and I felt it in my body, and something was wrong. And that's when I felt like I need to confront this. And it wasn't just about hormones affecting my physical appearance or my acne or the pain or the symptoms, but on an emotional level, it really impacted how I deal with the people that I love, from my mom to my partner. And that's when I knew that these imbalances, I need to deal with them because it's causing emotional instability and to the people that I love. So that was these were the 2 signs that I felt were the biggest alarm.
Tell me a bit more about, what did you experience physically and what did you experience emotionally?
Physically, it was the symptoms, it was the biology, it was the pain. It was the migraines. And emotionally, it was the roller coaster where one day I would feel fine. And then 2 weeks after my period just finished, when I'm in ovulation, I just want to be alone. And then at my period time, I just don't want to socialize. So I started seeing these signs physically and emotionally.
And what was your kind of journey towards starting to resolve that?
2 things, nutrition and psychology. So I nourished myself better. I obviously understood that the relationship with insulin and cortisol was so important, and then I had to manage my meals better. I had to manage my insulin better. That helped. And the other one was the brain part, which is psychology, which is more positive self-talk. So instead of criticizing myself, instead of acting like everything is okay and this is only normal and we're all like this, we're all hormonal. So I started being better at talking to myself. So the positive self-talk really helped me.
And it's interesting because you mentioned something about cortisol with meal timings, and then there's obviously going to be a link between cortisol and your self-talk. So tell me, I mean, I might go off on a tangent from the original questions. I hope you don't mind. It's a good structure to have. But tell me, how does meal timing impact cortisol, and what did you notice about your negative self-talk before that you also noticed impact your cortisol?
So the more negative I was, the worse the PMS, the worse the sleep. And so I realized the mind and body are super connected. And that's when I knew I needed to calm down in order to feel better. So cortisol and insulin come hand in hand. How you start your day, how you start your meals, and how you end your day really impacts insulin. So I'm going to give you an example. If I wake up in the morning and I have a glass of orange juice, I'm spiking my insulin in the morning. And if I do that consistently, so if I snack on sugar, if the first thing I have is rice and pasta before my veggies, if I don't have enough protein in my meal, if it's not a balanced plate, you're spiking something called insulin. Obviously, because insulin's job as a hormone is to tidy up these sugar into your cells, right? And so when insulin is constantly being triggered in an unhealthy manner, starting your day on sugar, snacking randomly on a fruit, not balancing your plate, so is cortisol. And so they come hand in hand together. And when you're stressed and your cortisol is high, even the absorption of the sugar and the release of insulin is disrupted.
Yeah, okay. So you mentioned quite a few things there that disrupt the insulin and the cortisol. What are some of the things that actually heal it? So you said balanced meals, but for someone who doesn't understand what that means, how would you describe it?
Basically, as simple as it is, starting your meal with a salad, starting your meal with fiber, or having enough protein on your plate, not jumping into the rice and the pasta first thing. In the morning, instead of that glass of orange juice, have an omelette.
Yeah.
Have something high in protein with the bread, not bread on its own, not just a sandwich of lebne. Start your day on something high in protein that stabilizes your blood sugar, and you start your day right, because how you start your day can determine what happens at the end. A lot of people tell me, I don't eat during the day. I just snack and my problems at night. Because you've been snacking and because you haven't had proper meals, because you didn't start your days with protein, or your morning with a high protein meal, you end up having these binge episodes at 7 and 8 p.m.
Yeah.
So briefly, start your meals with fiber, have enough protein. Apple cider vinegar is a nice trick. Having a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar with your salad or with the water before the meal can help give you that more stable blood sugar, giving you that satiating feeling. And walking after meals.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. All really good practical tools that people can start using. And I think what's so missing from the world that I'm in terms of like relationships, healing, nervous system regulation, is that there's so much psychology. So I'm really glad that you're bringing in like the body health based stuff into the conversation, because I know the impact of blood sugar on your nervous system regulation. So you talk about blood sugar crashes and maybe losing focus, losing energy, but nobody thinks about, okay, so how does that actually impact the way that I feel in my relationship to people? How does it impact the way that I respond to people if I'm irritated, if I'm not nourished properly, if I can't think straight? But also in terms of anxiety. So I know from my personal experience, I used to start my morning with a coffee and no breakfast until like 11 a.m. I was constantly anxious. I was constantly anxious.
Of course you were.
Yeah. And even my relationships, I was anxious, and work, I was anxious. Everything was so hard. And it could have been easy for me to say, like, oh, it's my trauma. But actually, no, it's okay, some of it, of course. But a lot of the times it's just because my body didn't feel safe. And when your body doesn't feel safe, it's hard to be acting out of logical, grounded place, right?
Of course. When you're constantly in that fight or flight, when your body thinks that a lion is chasing you all the time and your cortisol is playing,
Yeah.
of course you're gonna feel the fatigue, you're gonna feel the brain fog, you're gonna feel the bloat, you're not gonna be okay, you're not gonna emotionally and psychologically, as you said, you're not gonna know how to deal with an issue the right way,
Yeah.
or with your day-to-day activities.
Yeah. In terms of the more like emotional side of things, then you mentioned from psychology you have the self. For somebody who doesn't understand how to shift, or let's say they don't even know that there's something wrong with the self-talk, because I think in society today it's so normalized for people to be shitty to themselves.
And criticize themselves.
Yeah. So they might not know that they have a negative self-talk. So how did you recognize negative self-talk in yourself related to your hormones? And how did you shift it? What did you start doing differently?
You helped a lot. That's for sure. Awareness helps, so seeking help. I think it was a traumatic moment for me when I was crying and all over the place, and I was emotional and hormonal, and I don't like to blame hormones because they're not manipulators, they're just basically amplification of what we're feeling. I understood in that moment, I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was in tears, and I looked at myself. A, I was like, wow, you're ugly when you cry. And two, why are you doing this to yourself for someone else or for whatever the scenario was? And while looking at myself in the mirror, I said, I need help. I do need the help. So it was just basically I hit rock bottom, looked at myself in the mirror and said, I need help. And it wasn't in my scope. And that's when I started seeking help. And so the criticism shifted. It started being, instead of, why are you like this? Why do you have a temper? More like, I get it. I get why you're like this. I get why you're feeling this way. How could we deal with it better? And that's when you came along.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's something around like turning towards yourself, like you would talk to a friend, as you'd never turn around to your crying friend and go, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, you might say, oh my God, what's wrong with you? With compassion, but not from a place of blaming yourself or shaming yourself.
And as cliche as it sounds, loving yourself is probably one of the most difficult things that I had to do. But sometimes I do like hug myself and realize that this is me. This is me. I have to be aware that my body and my mind are very much interconnected. I hug myself to remind myself that you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I love that. And having that kind of relationship with yourself, it's probably one of the most important things for building more resilience in general in life and more grounding and more security, which is, I know, something that a lot of people that will be listening to this podcast are striving for. And I would even say, looking after your nutrition and your blood sugar is also an act of self-love.
Of course.
That doesn't get talked about enough.
Of course. Being aware.
Yeah. So have you seen in your work with your clients anything different to what you've had in your own experience, or does it tend to be quite similar?
It depends on every person. It tends to be similar because it's very much, we as women, we have 4 phases a month where we have that cycle. So we kind of understand. It shifts from one person to another, but I kind of get it. I get it. Like, I know what they're feeling, and I tell them to be in sync with their cycle. So if they don't have the application, I tell them to download it and to try to understand where they're at on their cycle.
Yeah, cycle syncing is something that I've only recently learned about, which I find fascinating. But for those who don't understand it, what does it mean and what does it look like in practice?
So today, we're working on a 24-hour clock, but our bodies are, as women, our bodies work at 4 phases. So we don't have a 24-hour cycle. We all know this at the beginning, right after your period, you feel like you're the strongest woman in the world and you're going to conquer all. Slowly, as the weeks pass, you're getting into hormonal shifts and you're getting into the menses phase, and you feel like, no, I'm very sad, I'm very weak, I'm not okay. And so that's what it basically cycle syncing means. Understanding the shifts in the hormones, understanding where you are in your cycle, understanding how that impacts your day-to-day life. So that's basically it.
Okay. And do you think that there is a specific remedy for a specific stage of the cycle? Because I've seen things about like seed cycling and all this kind of stuff. What's the legitimacy of it and what's the impact that you've seen?
Honestly, till today, we don't have evidence-based that if you're going to take these 2 tablespoons of seeds at the cycle, it's going to cause changes. But we are seeing an association. So it's not cause-effect, more of an association where having, let's say, sesame seeds and grounded flax seeds at the beginning and shifting can help, because basically these seeds are improving progesterone or improving estrogen. So it depends where you are in the cycle, that's what it's doing. And workout syncing. Workout syncing, we're seeing more evidence-based surrounding it, where women that are in their ovulation, they try to slow things down near their period. They try to do more stretching, more yoga. At the beginning, maybe they can incorporate HIIT. So when you're in sync with the workouts are in sync with your cycle, the workout itself gets better, the performance gets better, and your results, you see it in your body, they do get better.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's any implications of not doing that? You mentioned benefits, but is it necessary?
It's added value.
Added value.
For sure.
Okay.
And this is something for all women to know, that if eating a certain seed in a certain time of your cycle is going to cause stress, don't do it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. But if you feel like it's a nice cherry on top, it's good added value, sure, it's not causing any worsening your cortisol, that's where it helps. So it's not I can guarantee, but these are all complementary. So if we work on the nutrition, they work on their emotions, and they like to cycle sync with their workouts, and they don't mind doing the seed cycling, you're just benefiting yourself. But is it catastrophic if you don't do it? No, but we see the symptoms. Fatigue and bloating, it depends how much it bothers you. The fatigue and the bloating, they're there if you're not in sync.
Yeah, I hear you. There's obviously the physical manifestations of the different cycle periods. Is there certain emotional manifestations of each stage of the cycle? And where specifically did you find that you saw the most problems?
Yeah. It was near my period. So a lot of people normalize PMS.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
Interesting.
PMS isn't normal. We need to, it's a sign that we have a hormonal imbalance. And so closer to my period, I realized I didn't want to go out as much. I was angry. And I would get angry at things that post-PMS I wouldn't care about.
Interesting.
And so that's when I realized, like, I could be driving and someone could simply just beep at me and I can just start crying. And then I would know, 3 days later I got my period. Now I get it.
So what are you supposed to feel before your period? Because you're so right in saying that PMS is extremely normalized.
Yeah. You're not supposed to feel the extreme pain. You're not supposed to feel the lower back pain. You can there probably is some sort of symptom, but not to the extent where it's disrupting your life, your day to day.
The anger and everything that you experienced, would you say that the nutrition side of things, the self-talk, all of that kind of stuff has been what's helped you move forward? Or is there anything missing from the ingredient list?
Meditation.
Meditation.
I didn't know that calming your nervous system was a thing. I didn't even know that was happening. But I realized meditation helps a lot.
Yeah.
I meditate, especially before bed. I like to do that a lot. And with you, I started learning to give myself that 1 minute of meditation, because to me, I don't have time to do that 1 minute of meditation.
Yeah, I remember
and
your
in
response.
the meditation itself, it was like, I want to finish.
Yeah.
Breathe. I just want to get done, So
Yeah.
meditation really helped me calm my nervous system.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. And is it a breath work that you were doing? Yeah.
It was breath work. It was guided breath work. So I use an application called Simple Habit. I just turn it on 5-10 minutes before going to bed. It teaches me the 4-4-8 breathing. We're good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the nervous system regulation is the most powerful thing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're thinking about the context of cortisol and just how it impacts everything, decision making, communication. It's wild.
It is.
In terms of your relationships, and for anyone listening who, whatever, is single, has their friends, their family that face the impact of the hormonal changes that they face, what sort of tips would you have for them in terms of what they could communicate to the people around them that could support them on their hormone journey?
Don't normalize it.
Don't normalize it.
Don't just pat them in the back and be like, yeah, it's going to be okay tomorrow. Don't normalize it. These days, we can get help from AI. Ask ChatGPT, I don't feel good, help me. Don't think I'm going to be okay later. Tell them that we live in a world where we can seek help anytime, anywhere. I met you online.
Yeah. So what would you say that they should do instead?
From personal experience, it's so difficult to just give that advice, but really love yourself. When people used to tell me this, I'm like, what are they even saying?
Yeah.
What does that even mean? So I find it so difficult to say this now and feel like they're gonna know what that really
Yeah, I
means.
understand. Yeah.
I needed help to get there. So I would say people out there are studying how the brain works. They're an expert in the brain. They're an expert with the psychology. Just seek the help.
Yeah.
They know better.
Okay. And did you inform anyone in your life about your hormonal struggles? Did you feel that that helped?
Yes. Of course, my mom and then my partner. So it really helps to inform the partner that you're with, where you are in your cycle, how your cycle makes you feel, so that that partner knows when to interfere, when to support, and when to leave you alone. And so, yeah, that helped.
Yeah.
Sharing that experience.
Just letting people know
Yeah.
where you're at.
Because it's not about the time of the month anymore. I don't like hearing that. Oh, it's time of the month. It'll be okay. She'll be fine later.
Yeah.
No, it's more than that.
Yeah. And in your experience, what did you need the most from the people around you?
Empathy,
Empathy.
not criticism.
Yeah.
Not, you just have a temper. This is genetics.
I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's extremely invalidating.
Yeah. Oh, your dad gets angry. You're probably just like him. Again, don't normalize it. So I needed the empathy.
Empathy. And what does the empathy look like in practice? Because I think that this can be a really powerful turning point for a lot of people if they know how to communicate what they need.
Help me with that one.
I don't have the extreme hormonal fluctuations, but if I think about what I need when I'm not feeling okay, is just someone to say, I see you're upset. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. How can I support you? Do you need to talk? Do you need time alone? Just, yeah, having that, just knowing that someone is there.
Yeah. Because I think what triggered me in one of my past relationships was that if I confronted the partner with the problem, or if there was beef or whatever, we had conflict, he would leave. And that was very triggering.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And I can imagine something, but before I say what I can imagine, I'm curious to understand, like, have you noticed a difference in the state of your hormones based on the kind of relationships that you're in?
Yeah. Of course. You're adding you're adding gas to the fire.
Yeah. The reason I say that is because I can imagine that having somebody who continues to put you in a heightened state of stress is only going to manifest in terrible outcomes for your hormones because of the cortisol.
I would blame myself. When you don't get the empathy, when you're not
Yeah.
supported, the self-talk over there just becomes completely negative. Why are you
Yeah.
like this? You let him leave. You created this problem. You're crazy. Why did you say these things? Self-talk doesn't help.
Yeah. Wow.
The negative self-talk.
Such a testament to the importance of having a partner who can make you feel safe.
Oh yeah, and I see it a lot. I know you see it in your job as well.
Yeah.
Where I'm surrounded by very strong women, very educated women, smart, very intelligent, very beautiful. We all tend to choose
Love, yes.
love.
Fucks you up
and
sometimes.
you forget, and you forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
You forget your worth. You forget who you are. You're just so consumed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is where the deeper work comes in.
Oh yeah.
But it is 100% both taking care of your body and taking care of your health, and also addressing the deeper emotional childhood stuff that keeps you repeating the same patterns.
Yeah.
In my personal experience as well, I know maybe in 2020 or something like that, I'd gone off the hormonal birth control pill.
Mabruk. Good for you.
I lost my period for a year. My hormones were all over the place. I developed a binge eating disorder, so I gained like 15 kilos, acne, body hair, all of this crazy, crazy stuff. But it's also the best thing that ever happened to me because it forced me to start looking at what was happening internally.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the mind and body thing. I had to address my hormones. I had to address my shit, my internal stuff.
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, you don't realize how much you're carrying and how much it impacts you until you actually start taking all that stuff away.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, I was a nutrition student and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, being in that constant fight or flight, just not being in sync with yourself, or taking a pill just to calm down, or it's basically taking an OCP. It depends on the case, obviously, but taking contraceptives for a long time is just plastering. You're
Yeah,
just putting a
yeah.
Band-Aid on it. You're not treating the root cause.
Yeah. That was definitely the case for me. And then when I got diagnosed with PCOS, I was like,
Welcome to the club.
what the fuck? Yeah, it's wild the impact that it has on your body. You mentioned that you see a lot of strong women that are coming into your practice and they're struggling a lot with emotional and hormonal stuff. How much of the strength do you feel is a wall? And do you have any kind of recommendations for practices for those kind of women who are really like ambitious, high go to start softening?
Again, with the seeking. You guys exist. Go seek the help.
Yeah.
As a nutritionist, I shift their workouts, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I limit overtraining. I limit high intensity interval training. And I try to loosen up the ideologies or the myth that they have related to nutrition. So what we do is that we just dissect them together. I try to explain the biology of their body better. Why am I giving you this advice nutritionally? Why does this help you loosen up? Why does this help lower your cortisol? So workouts, especially the high intensity interval training, and if you have PCOS or any hormonal disruption, this is the worst thing you could do.
The
to your
high
body,
intensity
the
training.
high intensity interval training.
Is that mainly down to the cortisol aspect
Yes,
of it?
absolutely. You're already at a very high cortisol state, and what you're doing at a high intensity interval training is again adding fuel to fire.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Is there like a optimal training split for someone who's trying to balance their hormones?
I love the combination of Pilates/yoga/ degree with functional strength training. Don't forget the strength training. It's super important. Have you seen how hot the Victoria's Secret models are this year? Strength training, building muscles. Focus on that. If you like the Pilates, yoga vibes, go for it, but don't forget the functional.
What's the importance of having that?
The more muscles you have, the better that you look. And the more muscles that you have, we're seeing longevity is increasing with muscles. And the more muscles you have, the better insulin works.
Okay, so it comes down to insulin
It
for the
sensitizes.
for the hormonal, and of course, if you look good, you probably feel better,
Absolutely.
and if you feel better, your hormones will, as a result.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Build your muscles.
Yeah.
So these days I'm seeing a lot of overtraining, over caffeinating, overworking. We're always on the run. And then there's probably binge eating as a result of that stress on the wrong kinds of foods, ultra processed foods, pollutants, BPAs, skincare. These are all playing a role in our cortisol, in our hormones. And so one of the first things is calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down.
That solves so many problems in life, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. One of the things that I personally experience, and I was just thinking about so many of my clients as you were listing, overworking, overtraining, overcaffeinating, like tick, tick, tick. But emotional eating, it's such a big symptom of these hormonal imbalances, right? And I guess one aspect of treating this is balanced meals and everything like that. But what else do you recommend? Because I've seen some of your reels and you've got like these little tips and tricks.
Yeah. For emotional eating.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets out of control as a nutritionist where I go, we need to go to a psychologist. It becomes it's out of my expertise. And I always tell my patients, if you're gonna go to the PT and if you're gonna come to the nutritionist, consider the third discipline. It helps. Because a lot of people do the I'm on a diet now, it's short term, and then something hits, something happens, something traumatizing happens, they forget everything and they go back into their binge eating episode. But as a nutritionist, balancing the meals, having nourishing meals throughout the day, not restricting, not eliminating food groups completely, not doing extreme diets, not under eating, is helping with that aspect. Because I get the emotional part of it, but I also understand that if you're under eating and if you're overtraining and if you're not having balanced meals, you're gonna end up eating and binging because your body is craving it. It's just lacking its needs. But then the emotional part where it's just becomes more psychological, that's when you guys come in. Anyways, I see it half the time at the clinic, we're talking nutrition. The other half, if we get comfortable with each other, she's opening up or he's opening up.
Yeah. I've heard that this is really common with people who work in the health space. It's their clients come in with all of these issues related to their body, and even if you're a personal trainer, they want to look fit, and then suddenly they're opening up to you about all this whole list of emotional stuff that they got going on. If you have the knowledge, you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together and you're like,
It's difficult. My job's difficult. Changing behavior and changing habits is very difficult.
Yeah. What's the one thing that you feel people get stuck on the most?
Skipping breakfast.
Skipping breakfast.
Especially if you're hormonal. Yourself, you were starting your morning on coffee, the first hour of wake, when already it's all over the place and we're skyrocketing. Imagine adding, again, fuel to the fire from just starting your day on coffee.
Yeah.
So skipping breakfast, breaking your fast, whatever time it is, needs to be studied. How you break your fast is very important because that's the first thing you're putting in your system.
Does timing matter?
Yes.
What's the recommended time?
9 to 11. It's a great time, especially if you're waking up 6, 7, 8. You give your time. You take your herbal tea. You calm your hormones. You do what you need to do. You get started. You have your breakfast in that time. An hour later, 30 minutes later, you have your caffeine.
Okay, that's really interesting. Because I've heard from some places like you should eat within 1 hour of waking up. Is there a specific like science behind waiting 3 hours, or is it more like in your personal experience what you've noticed tends to work well?
No, it's about basically counter-regulatory hormones. So basically, if you're asleep for 8 hours, to stay alive for 8 hours, your blood sugar is higher than usual. That's how you stay alive. And so that first hour when you wake up, that sugar is still high. It takes time to drop. It takes that first hour. That's why we say wait an hour to an hour and a half before you take that coffee.
Yeah.
Because it's already remaining in that.
Super interesting.
Yeah, in that phase. So through personal experience and through science, because we understood the we understood the whole hormonal blood sugar management, it is after that, like after 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, go for it, start eating. Especially if you wake up 7, 8, that's it, 9 to 11.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And the order is regulate yourself, do your morning routine, whatever that is.
Start on a herbal tea.
Start on a herbal tea. Is there a specific one that works better than others?
Cinnamon's great.
Cinnamon.
And peppermint's great. Cinnamon's great for blood sugar management and peppermint's great for PCOS and hormonal imbalances. Yet again, it's not a magic bullet, but it's again complementary.
Yeah.
Because everything you're doing works synergistically. So it's not the chia pudding. It's not the herbal tea you're taking. It's your whole lifestyle, your sleep, blah, 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 and the foods that come together.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And there's obviously quite a lot that we covered today, but if you were to put it into like 3 of the most important things that somebody can walk away from this podcast and start focusing on today,
Yeah.
just to make it less overwhelming,
Yeah.
what would you suggest for them?
Download the application if you don't have it. The cycle, the application for the period application, whatever.
I use Flow.
I use Slow.
You use Flow as well. Okay. So
Yeah, I
that
love
one.
it.
Yeah.
So download it if you don't have it.
Yeah.
Understand where you are in your cycle, how late it is, how early it is. Log them in, log the symptoms in so you can understand yourself better. So if you feel like acne is coming 3 to 4 days before the period, jot it down. You got angry or bloated or whatever that symptom was, jot it down. You'll understand that there's a pattern behind it. That's 1. 2, if you feel like you need the help, seek it. I see until today that it's still taboo, at least in my part of the world. Psychology is taboo.
So
You're visiting a psychologist, you're sick in the head, there's something wrong with you. You tell a parent your daughter might need emotional, psychological support. My daughter's fine. There's nothing wrong with my daughter. She takes it very offensively. So normalize seeking help, normalize it. And my 3rd tip would be obviously blood sugar management. Look into it. Look into how simple tips and tricks, apply the ones that we spoke about today, 2 or 3 of them, and see how they will impact your mood, your energy, your bloating, your fatigue.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think as well as seeking the psychological help, sometimes it's about seeking the nutrition help as well. Seeking to talk to somebody about unexplained symptoms. Because I know for me personally, I spent a lot of my time, a lot of my life living with fatigue, that I normalized it. I thought it was normal. I mean, even though I felt it wasn't right, I'm like, I'm not supposed to feel this tired. I'm like 20 years old. I'm still young. But eventually I just trusted that and I sought out the professional help. And that's when I realized that I had loads of shit going on with my hormones. So in the same way you say, like, don't normalize like having the mental stuff, I think don't normalize what's happening in your body as well. What I've seen is that most of the time it always ties down to what's going on in your hormones.
Because they basically are they're signs. A lot of there's a huge myth with being in your cycle makes you hormonal.
Yeah.
No, it's the disruption and the imbalances that are being presented to you this way by the hormones. They're not manipulators.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful information. And if people want to continue learning from you, potentially even get your help in terms of what's happening with their hormones, where can they find you?
I have clinics in Lebanon, in-person clinic, and online. So I have an Instagram page, a platform, where I have links to booking online consultations or even a discovery call just to get to know me better. And obviously the in-person ones.
Okay, where's your clinics and what's your Instagram?
In Lebanon, I have 2 clinics in Dubai and Sin El Fil. And my Instagram is re.nutrify.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your time and your
Thank you
brain.
for everything.
Yeah, it's been really, really insightful and I enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Thank you. Likewise.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening in. If you found value in this conversation, please share it with someone who'd benefit. I'll see you in the next episode.